Orleans City Council member J.P. Morrell wants the city's inspector general to investigate the NOPD's internal investigation into Officer Jeffrey Vappie.
And this comes after the city attorney's office says it mistakenly leaked the audio recordings from the NOPD's Public Integrity Bureau's investigation of Officer Vappie. Natasha Robin has this story.
And the city attorney never should have had in its possession a copy of the Vappie investigation to begin with.
Orleans City Councilman J.P. Morrell sent this letter to the Office of Inspector General, urging him to investigate the handling of the NOPD's Public Integrity Bureau's investigation into Officer Jeffrey Vappie.
PIB should no longer have this investigation at all. It should be out of their hands, and it should be out of the sphere of influence of city government because it is absolutely compromised at this point.
Does any members of the executive protection team have a key to the Potop? I don't know.
Recently, the city attorney's office says it inadvertently leaked voice recordings of the Vappie investigation before it was complete. Morrell and others, though, say the city attorney's office should not have had the tapes in the first place.
It is unprecedented, as far as I'm concerned, to see an investigation of PIB share the audio tapes with the city attorney's office before a report is issued.
The city attorney has never said how that happened. All the city attorney said was we by error released this document. And then my understanding is the city attorney said we're done. But that doesn't explain how the documents or the files got there in the first place.
In the letter, Morrell says the city attorney's office leak compromises PIB's investigation, undermining public trust and confidence. Former NOPD police chief and Loyola professor Ronald Serpez agrees.
The Public Integrity Bureau should have never investigated Jeffrey Vappie. He was involved in allegations of misconduct that necessarily involved the ultimate supervisor of the city of New Orleans, which is the mayor. It was never a good idea. It's never going to be a good idea.
That investigation cannot be conducted by anybody that answers to the boss. It has to be conducted by the Inspector General.
Raphael Gonecci of the Metropolitan Crime Commission says the Inspector General has the ultimate power to investigate, and his findings are important.
Under the city ordinances, the Inspector General has the authority not to ask, but to demand. And if the city agencies don't comply, he has subpoena authority.
I think what the OIG is going to want to do is investigate thoroughly how information like this could become public, how did it get to a place where it can become public, and give the citizens some sense and the police officers some expectation that when they give statements and investigations that are not finalized yet, that they won't be convicted in the court of public opinion because pieces were leaked out.
We reached out to the Inspector General, but he told us he doesn't comment on ongoing or pending investigations. Natasha Robin, Fox 8, Local First.